It's people take it to the extreme, and then it's like, oh, this is why people hate us and we can't have anything. She's an actress. She's not a porn star. She doesn't do OnlyFans. She's literally acting, and she's making a bag doing products and sales. Like,
what about the soap?
It's okay because she makes.
I know the soap is a little far.
OnlyFans girls models now.
What's the difference? Actress. If you can't differentiate that, that's very.
You can. If you're an actress and you take off your clothes and you do pornography because you're an actress, you're still a prostitute.
TV, the internet, everywhere in between.
And the tagline is, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Now, in one ad, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed actress talks about genes as in DNA being passed down from her parents.
The play on words is being compared to Nazi propaganda with racial undertones.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Hey, American Eagle, now do black and brown women. Because black and brown women also have great genes that they inherit from their parents. Did you know that?
Oh, and don't think this was an accident. This was very intentional, and it would not have mattered one bit if a person of color was in the room, because this message was not intended for us. Oh, and it landed for its intended market.
Ladies, there are two issues here.
These people are absolutely fucking insane.
One, is this a good commercial? Is it good? Is it bad? Should conservatives like it? Should we go by the genes? But before that, is it Nazi? Emily.
No, it's not Nazi. Yes, it's a good commercial. It's actually one of the only good mainstream commercials I've seen in quite a long time. You watch it and you're like, okay, I like this. She looks good. Maybe I'll go look at the store. But it's funny because like this brand is very mainstream. If you look at smaller brands, they do great marketing like this all the time.
Look, I've been raised in the last 5 years on Jaguar ads. Okay, so I haven't seen a bubbly, cute girl in 10 years probably at this point. I've seen androgynous weirdos trying to sell me every product under the sun. So yes, I admit there's something refreshing about it. Melanie?
I think that is obviously not a racist ad. That was a big reach, but I still don't support it. I don't support propping Sydney Sweeney as some American conservative icon, especially when the longer version of the ad shows her dressing and putting the jeans on and her top is open while she has no bra or anything underneath. So it's liberal, not from the 90s and 2000s. It's definitely not conservative or anything to be celebrated. It's lustful. That's the intent. Sydney Sweeney in general, we know that she unapologetically promotes lustful content, pornographic type content. She did this Sasquatch ad selling her bathwater with bars of soap with holes in it so that men can use them as sex toys. Let's not pretend like this is some conservative victory that Sydney Sweeney is being propped up in this commercial.
Hold on. We will get to.
All right. Yeah, I disagree with her here. Yeah, I agree. This isn't a conservative victory, but this is definitely an American culture victory. And it's a culture victory because it shows that we're no longer being controlled by the wacko fucking left. That's why this is a victory. That's why this is a good thing, is because, yes, the fact that it is a white woman there and that, it's not so much a... she's like an attractive woman. She's not some kind of fat, obese woman. That is a victory. That is a victory. And no, not, because it's white and that, like pro-white. No, it's a victory. It's because it's not just a minority for the minority's sake because, fuck white people. That's why this is a victory. As far as like Sydney Sweeney herself, listen, we're only talking about the ad here. We're not talking about Sydney Sweeney herself and other shit she does, like selling her bathwater or whatever. I forgot where. Was it Dr. Sasquatch or Dr. Squatch or something? We're not talking about that stuff. We're only talking about this ad. And to be honest, this ad is pretty tame. I understand what Melanie Mac's coming from and that, it's sort of a sexual thing, but honestly, it's not really. It wasn't really a sexy commercial. It's sexy compared to what we've been given the last however so long, but it's not really a sexy commercial. She's covered in like head to toe in denim. I'm just letting you know right now, that's not really a turn on. It's not a turn on at all. And yeah, she has a little bit of cleavage showing, but honestly, the head to toe denim kind of outweighs the cleavage a little bit. I mean, that's just me though. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna be wrong. And the chat's like, "No, man, I totally fapped twice to that commercial," which I'll be like, "Oh, well then never mind." But in my opinion, it's actually pretty tame. So I kind of disagree with Melanie Mac's take there.
Much, much more. But first, you have to go to hillsdale.edu/no.
Go to hillsdalecollege.com, the most Hillsdale-iest of colleges that you'll ever find. If you've been looking for a college that has hills and dale in it, then look no more. Hillsdale College is for you.
Knowles. Hold on. I agree with it, basically everything you've said, and that's been my take on it too. But I've been defending Sydney Sweeney as, yeah, she's, she shows a little cleavage, but
that was it. I would be with you. I don't care if there's a girl that's, wears bikini at the beach or who's just pretty or shows a little cleavage, but that's not the case with Sydney Sweeney. In her history with movies, she's done pornographic type scenes, which is, what's the difference between that and an OnlyFans model? That she gets paid more than most of them? I mean, it's still promoting pornography. There's been advertisements for more movies that she's doing. Oh, there's a threesome lesbian scene with Sydney Sweeney. And then you've got people who conservative influencers, oh, we're so back, guys. Yeah, we win. It's just clearly the Sasquatch ad. She sold a limited quantity of bath soaps with her bath water, and there was a hole in the center of them because it was meant for degenerate men to use those bars of soap as a sex toy that had.
What was there holes? Was there really holes drilled into these soaps? What? All right, that's a little that is degenerate, not gonna lie. That's pretty wild if what she's saying is true.
Her bathwater in it. It's degenerate, it's perverted. Hey, is the commercial in itself in an isolated way bad? No, it could have been any other girl, but this isn't a conservative win propping Sydney Sweeney in this way.
You're just
so listen, I agree it's not a conservative win, but me personally as a conservative and a Christian, I'm not saying this is a big Christian conservative win. I am saying this is a culture win because it's just another way of showing that we're not standing up for that the left is truly dying and the woke mob is truly dying out.
My view of Sydney Sweeney. I hadn't heard of the soap thing, and then a threesome. What?
Supposedly there's a movie coming out where she has a lesbian threesome in it. I'm not exactly sure all the details. I just remember headlines just all over the place on social media about that about a year ago or something. But she definitely has done pornographic scenes in movies and stuff before. This is somebody who uses her sexuality to market herself. That's her thing. And it's that's not something that conservatives should be. That's not somebody conservatives should be celebrating. This isn't just some girl who's pretty and cute and just shows a little cleavage. This is actually somebody who really pivots into that.
Emily, you're rolling your eyes and sighing heavily. I take it you disagree.
This is with takes like these, I assume conservatives are just obsessed with killing their own movement and losing the next election. And it's interesting to just watch. First of all, it's actually not that deep. It's literally a commercial. It's every time we have a little bit of a win, it's people take it to the extreme. And then it's oh, this is why people hate us and we can't have anything. She's an actress. She's not a porn star. She doesn't do OnlyFans. She's literally acting and she's making a bag doing products and sales.
What about the soap?
It's okay because she makes
I know the soap is a little far.
OnlyFans girls models now?
What's the difference? Actress. If you can't differentiate that, that's very
You
stupid.
can. If you're an actress and you take off your clothes and you do pornography because you're an actress, you're still a prostitute.
It's not pornography. She's not a prostitute. Apparently, you haven't risen up around
pornography. Doing sex scenes, doing nude sex scenes, showing your body is naked is pornography.
Okay, I disagree.
Having sex on camera is pornography.
You also don't know how the movie industry works with those exact scenes. So
hold on. Now listen, I haven't seen the scenes, and
what's it called? This what's her name? Emily Wilson. I always want to call her Emily Austin because there's another covert feminist that's also, looks very similar, looks pretty much like her, that's named Emily Austin. So sometimes I get her and Emily Austin confused, but this is Emily Wilson. And it's just funny. It's because you can totally tell this girl, she grew up probably here in California. So and I know the last time they were there, she said she lived in Beverly Hills. So she's probably grown around with all these people, grown up around a lot of these people. So obviously she's going to be leaning a little bit more toward the degenerate side. I don't know how I feel about actresses, because they do some nude scenes. They're called, pretty much corn stars. I don't know how I feel about that. I like, so for instance, if you just do it once, are you a corn star? You could say it's immoral. You could say that they shouldn't do that, that it's probably not good if you do a sex scene in a movie. Probably not. But is it correct to call him a corn star? I don't think so. And again, that's where I disagree with Melanie on there.
I don't intend to go see the scenes, but if she's going fully nude and she's doing sex scenes or something, doesn't Melanie kind of have a point? Isn't that, it's like a little, it's at least porn adjacent, isn't it?
And then porn. And if you can't separate those things, that's a bigger issue.
What's the difference? If someone says I'm a Hollywood, hold on. If somebody says I'm a Hollywood actor or actress and I'm not a porn person and I'm just going to go do movies, but I'm going to do nude sex scenes that don't leave anything to the imagination, then what's the distinction between that and going to some seedy setup in Chatsworth and filming an internet video?
I would say, for one, there's actual penetration in corn videos. Like there's actual penetration. It's a hell of a lot more graphic. Where a Hollywood sex scene, you could have a Hollywood sex scene and not even really show much. And obviously there's no penetration going on and stuff. So I would say that's the difference. And that's where I feel like, again, if you want to speak out and if there should be sex scenes in movies or not, like that's a different story. I just don't think calling that a corn star, I just don't think that's accurate. It would be like saying, if you film a murder scene then they're a murderer in real life. It's like, well, no, that would be like, well, what's the difference between filming a murder scene and then doing a snuff film? It's like, well, in a snuff film, you're actually like murdering somebody, where in a movie, you're simulating, murdering somebody. And that's where I would say the difference is between a porn star and a movie actress filming a sex scene.
What's the distinction?
Yeah.
What's the distinction? Money, contracts, a room full of people, making sure you're safe. The fact that most of the time it's film. It's like crazy. You guys are a Daily Wire. You know how film works.
But porn is film.
Too.
Porn has contracts and money and rooms full of people.
You just said, well, now it's your own debate. You said a seedy room. She's not a seedy room. She's like an A-list actress now. This is like a conservative talking point. That's just
seedy happens in casting couches and in Hollywood. Hollywood's totally wholesome. That's right.
You don't think she's a little bit above that? You think
ladies, okay, hold on. Listen, we're being too harsh on Sydney before we bring in Savannah and Reagan. We might come back to being harsh on Sydney. Melanie, you're actually really coloring my view. I was more pro Sydney before you started making these arguments. Savannah, your take.
I mean, I don't think an ad for jeans is setting us back to 1930s Germany. And I also think that, the radical left is so addicted to outrage, being outraged by absolutely everything. Listen, just from some personal experience, I grew up modeling. I don't do it anymore because it's so woke. But back in 2020, during the Biden administration, I was told by my agent that I would never book the big jobs because they were so focused on diversity. And they didn't want a skinny brunette with with blue eyes. And so now I think it's a win for the conservative movement. I mean, I personally want to see attractive people when I'm online shopping, because whenever I went on Victoria's Secret and it was all obese, unfortunate looking people, that does not make me want to buy anything. That does not make me want to buy clothes, because I can't look at a woman who's over 200 pounds and say, wow, that's going to look good on me as a petite woman. So yeah, I think that she's very sexual, but I also think that she's the next Marilyn Monroe, and the conservative movement is not going to win if we're constantly saying, oh, women can't be hot, they can't be attractive. I think the soap ad was a little far, because she said something like, little boys come in my bathtub or something weird like that.
What?
But
how did I miss this? That's gross.
Well, when you've got a moral foundation and you it's not about winning people over. Being right, you're right whether the whole world disagrees with you or not. We can't be promoting lust. That doesn't mean that that's not okay for women to be beautiful and attractive, or that they have to be wearing burqas. But to say, oh, we're not going to win if we don't accept women owning their sexuality. I mean, these are old liberal talking points. It's not a win for conservatism if we're just pushing old liberal talking points. Here's somebody who clearly pivots on the sexual stuff. I just looked up, this is where it was from last year, where she and Ana de Armas agree on doing a threesome in a movie together. That was what was going on in the articles about this lesbian threesome and all this stuff. Here's somebody who clearly pushes degenerate, sinful ideologies. And hey, if you're not a Christian and you're just a conservative without those Christian values, of course this stuff's going to be celebrated, because it's all a matter of what am I attracted to? That's what I like. But conservatism, in my opinion, should be rooted in biblical values, because you have nothing. You're basically a liberal if you don't have your foundation of biblical values.
Reagan?
It's a great question. I think that there's this line of, is it a win because it's not woke? Because I think the second that something is not woke, we're excited, we're happy. It's like, finally, we're not just being force-fed, non-binary they, thems, advertising genes, because obviously that's not effective. Obviously, we want to see beautiful women, beautiful men modeling things, right? So that's kind of, I'm glad in that sense, it's a win, but then we have to look at it through a different lens. So I kind of switched. I first watched it and I was like, okay, finally, she's hot. It's a cool car. Great. And then I saw the other ads. I think that one's kind of the most tame out of all of them. I think
This is a family show, Reagan. I try to keep it real wholesome. So you're right. The others get a little racier.
They get a little racier. I think that's an important thing to note, because if we're just watching the Shelby Mustang, it's hot, cool, whatever. But the other ones, when it focuses down on her chest and then she goes, excuse me, eyes up here. It's obviously, there's more innuendo there. There's more sexual, connotation. And I think that's important to note when we're talking about this. Is that a win for the conservative movement? Yes, we don't want to be prudes. We don't want to, say, oh, well, we can't. I get there's that balance we have to find, but there is that sense of, especially, coming from a Christian, is that something that I think is a win for that movement? And I would say not a huge win. It's like we've gotten back to normal. That's a victory, but we don't want to go into that degeneracy. That obviously it's, Sydney's not being crazy degenerate, but it's that line that we have to find and be very careful of. I was just actually watching, literally this morning, Urban Decay just had a new advertisement. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but it's a girl.
I don't even know who Urban Decay is.
Urban Decay is a makeup brand, okay? And so they just launched.
I don't know about the soap with the hole. I don't know about the threesome movie.
Yeah.
I don't know anything, apparently.
Michael, it's for the best that you haven't seen this, but this is a girl. She's an OF star. So her advertisement, sexual innuendo, same thing. It literally same cut of a shirt, same amount of cleavage showing, if we're getting specific, because that's what we're talking about here. And she's talking to camera about, buy the makeup and don't be censored. And there's this obviously innuendo again happening. And I watched that and I was like, okay, if I'm going to celebrate the Sydney Sweeney element of this, and I've watched the exact same thing. The difference is that this girl's an OF star, but what I'm visually looking at is very similar. And that made me feel even more of like, okay, this isn't a win. Because if we're talking about conservatives, another woke thing would be celebrating OF stars, because that's what Urban Decay is doing. And they're like, see, look at this. And then you have the conservatives celebrating that. So there's this weird balance we have to find. But again, woke, repackaged, rebranded, we have to be careful of that. And I think
this is, I mean, again, like, listen, we do have to find that line, but on it, like, listen, the thing is, this topic isn't about Sydney Sweeney as a whole or as a person or what she does in the movies and stuff like that. This is about the commercial. This is about the commercial itself. The commercial itself was pretty tame overall. And the fact of the matter is that, like, listen, is it a win for Christian conservatism? No, it's not a win. But is it a win for the culture? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's a win for the culture. But even if you want to go back to Christian conservatism, again, I just don't think, again, we're talking specifically about this commercial, the Good Genes commercial. I don't even think it was that raunchy, though, is the thing. Yeah, if you want to talk about Sydney Sweeney, the other project she does, well, we could talk about, is Sydney Sweeney something we should be celebrating as Christian conservatives? But even as Christian conservatives, we're not celebrating her. I'm not like, oh my God, yeah, she's a new Christian conservative here. Yeah, we should go follow her. Like, no, my thing was the commercial itself. It's just another victory on our side that's showing that all this woke garbage nonsense, DEI nonsense, it's finally coming to an end. And this is just another step showing that. So that's why I'm celebrating the commercial and then the reactions it's getting. But as far as, Christian conservatism, I wouldn't say the commercial is a celebration of that. But even with that lens on, I don't think the commercial was even that raunchy. I think I would agree with more of a point what Melanie Mack and Reagan is saying is if it was a super raunchy commercial, then I'd be like, yeah, I'm not celebrating this. You know, if it had Sydney Sweeney, you know, like freaking filleting a big what is it, the big stick ice creams, you know, popsicles, she was like deep throwing that or something, you know, and then buy big stick popsicles, then yeah, I'd be like, oh, that's a little gross. Yeah, that's degenerate, you know. But the commercial itself, I don't think it was that bad. Again, as a straight man, that's another thing, is that we got a bunch of women talking about this, and I'm just telling you that as a straight man, it wasn't an arousing commercial. It wasn't something that I was like, oh my God, I can't control myself. I gotta go to the bathroom right now. You know, it wasn't something like that. It was just a commercial that, yes, did play into her sex appeal, but it wasn't overly raunchy or anything. It wasn't raunchy, but I'd rather see Sydney instead of Lizzo. Yeah, I think that goes for everybody. Well, like, you know, listen, I agree with a lot of Melanie Mack's takes, you know, coming from, you know, a Christian conservative perspective and stuff. I do agree with a lot of her takes. There's just sometimes, though, where she could go a little bit too far. Like, there's a lot of people who call her a hypocrite and stuff. And this is one of the times where I think she's being a little hypocritical. Because if she's going to say, well, Sydney Sweeney, you know, she promotes lust and all these temptations, like, sometimes Melanie Mack dresses in a way and she kind of posts up these thirst traps where it's like she's looking for male attention too. So this is one of those times where I'm like, yeah, I think you're kind of being a little bit of a hypocrite here.
Look, I agree.
Like, she's not like, oh, like sexual or anything like that, but she does post up pictures where it's like, okay, like you're looking for male attention here, you know, you're looking for people to simp over you and stuff. So, you know, what makes you much more different than like Sydney Sweeney, other than you're not being really super sexual about it?
Agree that it's better to have like beautiful women selling in cool cars selling products than some androgynous weirdo on Mars selling me a Jaguar. But okay, that means we've rewound the clock to 1998. 1998 wasn't that great. I mean, it was a perfectly fine year, but is there, Emily, I guess this question is really for you. Are we as conservatives just trying to get back to the 90s, or is there something deeper that we're trying to conserve and restore?
I think we're just trying to conserve and restore just sanity, just being normal.
Whose sanity?
We don't need to go,
what does the sanity look like?
We don't need to go back. No, normal American girls cannot relate to like Savannah said, a 200-pound mixed race, one-armed woman. Okay, when I'm buying makeup, when I'm buying skincare, when I'm buying clothing, I want them to look like someone I would either like to look like or maybe like me. It's just common sense. Like we all agree we'd rather see Sydney Sweeney than all these other people we've seen for years that have been shoved down our throat, because it's not relatable. And I also think it's positive to have girls looking up to girls that are like actually beautiful and also feminine. The women that have been pushed on us have been extremely masculine. They haven't been feminine. So I think it's a win-win. I think we should just promote good-looking people. Like I said, look, if I have to watch movies and TV shows and there's going to be sex scenes, I want to see attractive people and I want to see straight couples. I think that's normal and what most of America wants, and that's what we're sort of going back to. But when conservatives are having meltdowns in the same way liberals are having meltdowns about this, then it kind of just pushes us back a little bit further. I think she's a sexual looking girl. She's got big tits. She's blessed. Go let her do that. We don't know her in real life. She's probably just a normal girl. She's not representing conservative media. Okay, just like let a win be a win.
Melanie, are you having a breakdown like a liberal?
I wouldn't say that. I think that Christians absolutely need to have standards, but this is just a matter of secular people in the conservative movement. They're going to disagree with Christians in the conservative movement. But with Christian values, I mean, we absolutely should be standing against this stuff. The over-sexualization is part of the slippery slope. That's why we got the troons. That's why we got the gay stuff. Troon is like transgender. I use a lot of lingo, but that's why we get all of this stuff, because it is a slippery slope. And it's just like, yeah, you want to say this is a win? Well, Satan parades himself as an angel of light. Satan doesn't care if you're a liberal or you're a Republican, but what he does care is if you're celebrating degeneracy, if you're celebrating perversion. And so, yeah, things got so extreme at one point that now we're going to go back and we're going to accept this perversion, and that's okay because it's not as extreme as this perversion. Well, you're still accepting something from Satan. Now, I don't think that all of those ads with Sydney Sweeney were egregious. The one with her with a car, very tame, not a huge deal, but they did get more sexual. And then again, I just don't like to see conservatives hail Sydney Sweeney as some sort of icon just because liberals don't like her. We do have to have standards.
Yeah, I do. So the point you keep coming back to is, a conservatism is either going to be Christian and go all the way and not be inciting lust and not appealing to the prurient interest and not just being this kind of like barstool boomer conservatism of like, eating potato chips and howling at girls, or it's going to be liberalism, and we're always going to be just trailing the liberals 5 years behind.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Conservatism will always just be liberals from 5 or 10 years ago, unless we go to our Christian roots, right? We don't have to take it any further than that. Keep it at your Christian foundation. If conservatism is not Christian, then it's not conservatism anymore. It's
Savannah,
just liberalism.
You're pretty trad. What do you make of Melanie's argument?
I hate that word. I'm Christian. So, and I think the two can exist at both times, right? Like, maybe she's super over-sexualized. I mean, like Emily said, yeah, I mean, in every single movie, like her tits are out. But at the same time, I'm really glad to see an attractive, blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman back on ads, because we didn't have that for so long. For so long, we had to deal with black queens and black is king and, white people suck and go sit in your white privilege and cry about it. And I'm just glad that we have attractive people back on ads. So that's...
And the thing is, too, is about like this anti-white stuff. It's like the minorities, they weren't even like picking attractive representations. It was like, the black women. Yeah, let me get fucking the fattest, blackest woman I could find. Let's find the most fattest, unattractive woman I could find to be our freaking representative. And it's like, dude, it's so not even do they have to be a minority, but they also have to be fat and ugly, Like, dude, at least like if they were like, hey, we need more minorities up there, and it was like, Holly Berry, or freaking, like the Holly Berries, or I know there's like other freaking what's her face, like Nia Long or something, like the Nia Longs or something. Then that would be different. But then you got the fucking Lizzos, and it's like, okay, so not only do they have to be minorities, but they also have to be fat and ugly. And then they go in and build statues of them in New York. It's like not just about like erasing, it's like just about like overall just lowering standards. Like, how come is it representation also has to be lowering standards? You could have attractive black women up there, but instead you went with fucking Lizzo.
Why it's a win in my book, regardless of if she's being over-sexualized. Look, people are always going to over-sexualize certain celebrities. There's always going to be celebrities that... Gabrielle Union's another attractive black woman, You could have had a bunch of those. But instead, you had fucking Lizzos, and then the far-eyed apart, Holly Bailey or whatever her name is from Little Mermaid. Her eyes are like over here. Like, you had those women, Take that to their advantage, and they make a ton of money from it, no matter how much Christians try to stand up for it. So as Christians, yeah, we can say, look, part of the ad was a little bit over-sexualized, the camera down to her chest and then her saying eyes up here. Okay, maybe that was too much. But from a macro perspective, I am just glad that woke is dead and that we're seeing attractive people back in media and in ads.
Yeah, but isn't this the point? So I like that Sydney Sweeney is quite beautiful. I like that they're putting her in ads rather than like these weirdo kind of mutilated eunuchs or something. That's great. She's appealing to sex in a normal way. So that's better than appealing to sex in an unnatural way. Okay, I'm into that. But as conservatives, shouldn't we be promoting modesty? Or no? Or Emily, is that, or am I just preaching like a church lady and I'm going to lose the culture if we don't show a little skin?
No, I'm one of the few Republicans that I'm like, you guys don't have to label me as a conservative, but I'm not religious, which I think a lot more people relate to me than they relate to the people that are religious, because I can see nuance. But I'm like, yeah, like people are so sexualized now, and we live in such a sexual society. The odds of us being able to wring that back, unfortunately, are very unlikely. I also think you can just be feminine and beautiful and at the same time sexy, and that's not lust, that's not sin. That is not the way I see it at all. I think it's awful, because when I was liberal, when people shamed me and used terminology like that, it pushed me more into being a liberal than just being like, hey, actually just be like beautiful, be yourself. Like, you can wear sexy things without being sexual. And like, I don't see her as an overly sexual girl.
Yeah.
How can you wear sexy things without being? You can wear elegant things. You can wear beautiful things. But can you wear? You know, you're going out in a mini skirt with like a crop top on. Isn't that lusty?
I wear extremely low cut things, and because the way I look, and also my weight and the way I carry myself, it's not extremely sexual. Whereas if you were to have big fake boobs pushed up with crazy hair and makeup, it looks different. I mean, that's also style and a bunch of different things that go along with that. But it's like, I don't think having to like suppress this makes any sense. It's better if we go along with it. And also, like, when you use Christianity for every single argument, a lot of the country is not Christian, so they're immediately going to not listen to what you have to say. That's why I come at it from a very different perspective.
We're still a majority Christian country, though, of different flavors of Christianity. And listen, even if there were only one Christian in the country, I mean, if you think it's the truth is the truth, regardless, even if you stand alone. I just wonder, look, as the only man on this panel, let me mansplain a little bit what's going on. I see an ad with, you know, wacky gender bending people, and I find that repulsive. That's nauseating to me. Mm-hmm. So I am relieved when I see an ad with a beautiful person. And the fact that in this case, Sydney Sweeney is like showing a little skin or whatever is attractive. And so I get it. It'll probably sell more jeans. But then for me, this creates another problem. Not that I'm nauseated like I was the first time, but now I find myself looking at the Sydney Sweeney ad, you know, maybe the less wholesome one, and maybe I do a little double take or a triple take. All of a sudden, I got to have custody of my eyes and say, hey, I don't want to be thinking about Sydney Sweeney right now. I'm a married man. I'm trying to be virtuous. I don't want to sin in my thoughts and my words and what I do or fail to do. So what about that? Do we want to be getting the young guys or even the elderly 35-year-old guys like me all lusty all the time?
Michael, I'm glad you can control yourself with all these sexual visuals going
it's difficult.
around. And I hope
it's not easy.
Men...
Yeah. Listen, Michael Knowles is absolutely 100% correct. I mean, of course, he's the only man on the panel. So, of course, he's going to be 100% correct. But the reason why, it's not just because he's a man, but, well, it is because he's a man. But the reason why is because, you know, as men, women don't know how driven we are by sex. All right. And yes, it does take a lot of impulse control to just not be a complete fucking gooner or a coomer and shit like that. It does. It takes a lot of restraint. It takes a lot of impulse control, where even Michael Knowles, who's pretty religious, even has a hard, you know, I wouldn't say he has a hard time, but even he has to remember that. And even myself too. You know what I mean? That's why it's good to give yourself up to God, trust in God, and follow God. But yes, as straight red-blooded males, yes, it is an issue where everything gets too sexualized. And so that is why we ask for modesty. You know, that's why we do ask for modesty. And that's why it's like, you know, when we've allowed women to just wear all this, you know, skin tight outfits into the gym or this or that or whatever, it's like, dude, can you get out of here? That's why it's important to have men only spaces, you know? Anyway. So yeah, Michael Knowles is right on that. And listen, again, there's another point here. Fuck another secularist, just great. We don't have enough of those. Yeah, completely agree with that. I forgot what I was going to address here, but you know, listen, you could be a Christian and you could be, that's what I was going to go with. You could be a Christian and you could be a little nuanced, you know? Like, so for instance, like I agree, like over this commercial, you know, as a Christian, we shouldn't be flipping out too much saying, oh my gosh, she has to cover up. At least when it talks about this commercial. If there's another ad where Sydney Sweeney is a much more sexual and stuff or whatever, then yeah, we could talk about that. We could be like, yeah, we don't want this. We could absolutely do that. But it's important that we absolutely just we find where that line is and just stick to that line. You know, Sydney Sweeney in that car ad, not that big of a deal. But if Sydney Sweeney selling her Gooner soaps or whatever, okay, well, that's a different story. Then we could be like, yeah, no Gooner soaps, no degenerate soaps, you know, like, nah, that's not good. We could speak out about that. You know what I mean? But if we flip out equally as the Gooner soaps as we do about the car ad, then yes, it's true. We're going to lose people. We are going to lose people. And yeah, modesty definitely is a virtue. Yeah, that's why we called her like those she's an overt feminist, this Emily Wilson, the one in the middle, because she's the one that's like, oh, I'm a conservative, but I'm also you know, pretty much a feminist. Yeah, she is very much one of those feminist liberal Republicans. Anyway, I'm going to go a little bit longer to see if there's anything to add to what Michael Knowles just said, and then I'll probably stop.
Learn to control themselves, because that is what separates us from animals. And I think that's a lot more important, of people controlling themselves and being decent humans, than this girl who has naturally great, fantastic.
But shouldn't women control themselves too and dress in a modest and respectable way?
Women should control themselves. They shouldn't be trying to lead people to lust.
Hold on, Melanie.
Yeah, women should control themselves. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna act like a prostitute and it's all the men's fault. If they, you know, it's men can over sexualize anything, even if there is modesty, and in that case it is their fault. But it's the woman's fault if she is purposefully acting and dressing and in a way to elicit lust. And let's not pretend like that isn't the case with Sydney Sweeney and what she does and what she's paid for. So yeah, that's a problem, and we should. And it's not even my concern about winning the culture war. My concern is standing for the truth, even if I'm the only person standing for the truth. So it doesn't matter if, oh, this is going to push more people away because they aren't Christians. Well, my goal as a Christian is to share the word of God with the world. The people who accept it are going to, the people who don't, won't. But I'm going to stand for the truth, and I'm going to stand for what's important, regardless of how many people will agree with me.
That's great. Respect that. As someone who is a commentator in the right-wing space, my goal is to win the culture war, because that's how we win elections. And my goal is always going to be to win elections. That way I don't have to listen to how Dylan Mulvaney is Woman of the Year for 4 years.
No, but I think Melanie's point is that it would be a Pyrrhic victory. I think Melanie's point is you can win if you think that the way you win the culture war is by behaving like a liberal from the 90s or 2000s and saying, look, it's a new day and we can't go back to how conservatives used to be. So we're going to win by promoting lusty sexuality and fornication and secularism and all the rest. Well, at that point, have you
Nicolaj, yeah, the girl in the middle said all the right things. If you ask me, they can't handle the truth she's slapping them with. Yeah, I agree with some of what she says. And the thing is that, like, listen, I mean, the point is that we do want to bring this into a Christian nation. We don't want a secular nation. I don't want a bunch of Emily Wilsons there. You know what I mean? So that's my only thing is that it does have a danger of swinging back the other way if we're not careful. So congratulations, in a few years, yeah, we might not have Lizzo's in freaking bikini ads or something, you know? Oh, but then we're going to go back the other way where it's like, oh yeah, again, trying to sell lollipops and are deep throwing the lollipop or something, you know? And it's going to be totally degenerate the other way. Excuse me. And we, as Christians, we don't want that. I don't know if Nicolaj, if you're, you know, religious or not, but you know, I am, and Michael Knowles is, and then these two, I don't know about Reagan. I think these three ladies over here are coming at it from a Christian perspective. And so there totally is a danger of it going the other way. And I definitely don't want a bunch of Emily Austin's here. And the thing is, or Emily Wilson's here, because, okay, great. Let's say we win elections, right? But like, is she going to vote for, so if there's a Christian conservative that runs and says, yeah, well, I want to get rid of abortions, right? Is Emily Wilson going to vote for her or him? I should say, in either one. Is Emily Wilson going to vote for them? I don't think she will. I don't think she'll that. And she's going to be the type of person that's going to vote for the Democrats to come back in. You know what I mean? You can't play both sides like she wants to. Yeah, great. She hates that there's no more Dylan Mulvaney's or whatever. But if she's also going to be hating that there's no more abortions willy-nilly, and I don't want Emily Wilson or these people on my side, you know? They're not going to be on my side. I understand what you mean. I respect Christians. I'm just agnostic, I guess. But if you ask me which religion should rule the world, if any, I'd say Christianity. That's fair. They're trying to hard her take her words and bend them in a weak attempt to sound like the ones with the truth. Yeah. I mean, like I said, like, I don't completely disagree with where she's coming from. I just want to consider her on my side because, again, she talks about winning elections, but okay, if there's someone that comes along that wants to ban abortions, is she going to vote for them or not? Because if she's not, because she's some kind of feminist or some shit, well, then I don't really consider her on my side. Yeah, and that's another thing. Yeah, James brings up a good point too. I see Ems had good points with this topic, but I've seen Emily push hard for girl bossing and not having kids. Yeah, and the last one, that was her thing. She's all about feminism and like in terms of being a girl boss and not having kids and stuff. You know, like great. Like I'm glad that she agrees with me when it comes to being sick of seeing Dylan Mulvaney. But I don't agree with her in a lot of other things, like about girl bossing and not supporting families and thinking that women should be in the workplace and not at home. All right.
You really won? Haven't you just won a Pyrrhic victory for the people who were supposed to be your opponents?
No, that's not what we're promoting. We're promoting a hot, blonde, white woman. The commercial is sexual. It crushed. They're at 20% in stocks? And yeah, that's a good start. Well, there you go. She probably made them a couple $100 million maybe?
Yeah, in one day. Market cap went up $200 million.
Okay, so all the liberals had to do was to get really extreme, and then they made conservatives become liberals from 20 years ago. So what's next? Next, are they going to just push bestiality and we're going to see furries in every ad? And so now conservatives are going to embrace Dylan Mulvaney because at least it's a human. Is that what we're going to do?
Reagan, is that what's going to happen?
You know, I think we already know that sex sells. So there's nothing revolutionary here in the fact that this is, they earned $300 million in a day, I think. Like, of course they did. Now the question is, again, what is the conservatives' job? Are we conserving what was 10, 15, frankly, 20, 30 years ago? Or are we trying to also, in addition to conserving what is good and right, also then try to be a beacon for something better, right? Create a better future. So would I want my daughters consuming that? Is that as if I'm trying to think like a conservative, I'm trying to think of what is that future going to look like? And frankly, I don't think that is an inherent win. We have to find that balance, like Emily was saying, of, we don't want to be the prudes. We don't want to be the ones that just lose culture completely because we're unwilling to, bend and grow. But at the same time, there are the biblical truths. There are truths that I believe that they do oversee that and finding that balance. I think that's especially as a conservative Christian, that's that balance we have to find. But I go back to that ad. And again, I go back then to the OF star that did the exact very similar ad days before. And I look at those two, there's other things besides, again, just winning woke that we have to talk about. And we know that another issue within wokeism is OF and is promiscuity, and that they're they're force feeding us that as well, in addition to the non-binary. So we win the non-binaries, we have to still win the OF and get that gone. And so I think there's two conversations that can be had.
This is my question, I guess. I think I've become a prude over time. I don't know. Prudence is the chief political virtue. So maybe it's not so bad to be a prude. But the question is, what are we aiming at? Like your point, Emily, you say, look, I want to win elections. And I'm with you. The winners go to Washington, the losers go home. We got to win. You don't win by losing. Politics often leads culture. Culture can be downstream of politics. I'm all for that. For what? For what? What are we doing? What are we after? What are we trying to win?
I think we're trying to win everything across the board. I think we're trying to have.
What's it look like when we win?
Normal again. I mean, it will, like, the past 4 years have been insane. I mean, when it comes to Sydney Sweeney, like I have talked about, and I'm not scared to talk about it, the like anti-white hate against the country, the way like if you're a blonde, white, beautiful woman, apparently all of us come from money and we've never suffered through anything and we deserve to be taken out of everything, movies, commercials. We're not allowed to have anyone represent us and we're just awful people and we deserve bad things to happen to us. I mean, I want all of this gone. That's why I'm like, if we can see ads like this and see beautiful white women in movies and models who actually should have jobs modeling, like not everything's supposed to be inclusive. And I think we can get back to more of a normal place. And I think that's better for young girls to grow up. I'd rather my daughter looking at Sydney Sweeney in a commercial than freaking Dylan Mulvaney. Sorry. But like, also, I just want things to
both
be more
white,
normal.
Though. Both white, in fairness. They're Dylan
and also just to jump in there, I don't think those aren't the only two options, though. You know, too. I think that there's
exactly.
Oh God,
but
that's not the
yeah,
only
exactly.
two
but that's
she's kind of going with the Grace Thorpe thing, like from the debate the other day, when Grace Thorpe was like, "Well, that's the lesser of two evils," and it's like, well, there's always a lesser evil, though. Like, how about like, listen, yeah, I guess would I want my daughter looking at a Sydney Sweeney ad compared to a Dylan Mulvaney ad? Yeah, I guess. I'd rather my daughter not see either ad, though. I'd rather not my daughter want to be either a Dylan Mulvaney or a Sydney Sweeney.
But you're presenting them as two options, and what I'm trying to say is that there can also be elegance, and there we can make that cool again if we're using the phrases. I mean, we absolutely can. And I think
Emily's an elegance doubter.
Bring in Sharia law. It's fine.
No, absolutely not. Completely different things.
Freaking
Completely
Sharia.
different.
So, and then with these freaking secularists and stuff, that's always extreme. So they're always like, oh, okay, well, I guess we need to bring in Sharia law then. It's like, well, no, that's not what we're saying at all. We're saying that at all, like, lady. Again, yeah, it shows that this woman here has no Christian foundations or basis here. Complete secularist. My preferences.
I'm not calling for a full burqa, but a tasteful abaya is not the worst thing.
Ever.
And that's exactly what they always do. They go, oh, okay, well, now you need to be covered from head to toe. It's like, oh, no one's saying that. We're just saying some modesty, you know? But listen, if you want to see the rest of this, there's not too much left, but if you want to see the rest of this, you could go to Michael Knowles' channel. What did you guys think? Who did you think out of these ladies who was the most based one? Leave your comments in the comment section down below. Check it. If you want to see the rest of this, there's a link to the original video down in the description section. Also, like my video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you really liked it. That'll be helping me out a lot. I have a bunch more Michael Knowles stuff. I even have the previous time all these ladies were on there on my channel, which I also covered, and a whole bunch more stuff on my channel that I think you'll enjoy. Don't forget to watch A Cool Stream live Mondays through Fridays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time.